you obviously have known about Bitcoin for a while. You've been a little bit of a skeptic in terms of its use as a currency.
Right.
So now it seems like you are all in on crypto and DeFi and NFTs. And I just wondered what for you were some of your light bulb moments?
Well, I like to geek out on new technology, whether, I'm the guy that, as I started to become more aware of AI. I'm going on, AWS and doing machine learning tutorials. I'm taking YouTube classes and Coursera classes on creating JavaScript, 3-layer neural networks, just so I can have an understanding, because as an entrepreneur and as an investor, you got to be able to tell what's real and what's bullshit, right? And so, and have a basic, at least a basic understanding, if not more. And the same thing applied to NFTs. And, I'm always a skeptic by nature until I go in there and find a reason not to be. And so I went on mintable.app because I read that it was the cheapest place for a newbie to get in and try to mint things. And when I did my first NFT, as I was going through filling out everything for this little file that I was in, this picture I was doing a mint, it showed me royalties and it showed me all these other features that were part of the smart contracts. And I was like, oh my goodness, you mean for the first time ever, I can take a digital file and mint it, turn it into an NFT, put it on the blockchain, and earn royalties earn income post first sale. Because that never had happened before with any digital file, not MP3s, not digital photos, not videos, not anything. And to me, that was just like, okay, that turned the light bulb on. And it was like, okay, now I got to learn about smart contracts. And with smart contracts, I did my Solidity, just like I do with AI, I did my Solidity tutorials and understood, how the variables worked and what couldn't happen. And, the different features that were there and weren't there, and extensions that carried and didn't, all those things. And so, but it was literally the fact that you could earn royalties, and that was a standard that should be, not always is, but that should carry across all layer 2 and higher applications on the blockchain.
I love this because so for me as a creator, the royalties thing also, the second I understood that, I was like, wow, like I would love to.
It's a game changer. Yeah. It's a game changer.
And I was curious. So obviously you have a huge, long background in technology and all kinds of things. But I also thought, well, maybe your perspective as the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, which is a completely different type of industry from the crypto industry, or just your experience as a shark on Shark Tank, which obviously takes pitches from a variety of different industries. I wondered, do you think that shaped your views in a different way from the typical crypto investor about what will be the truly big things? Yeah. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So you got to go back to my early history. Like after getting fired from a software job when I was 24, I started a company called Micro Solutions that effectively was a systems integrator. And I taught myself to program. I was in my 20s, and it was just like I spent the next 7 years writing software that worked on first local area networks, then wide area networks, and then replicated databases. And so, my whole reason for existing as a systems integrator was walking into a company and allowing them to digitize what they were doing and to turn, like Mark Andreessen said, software eats the world. And so help software eat their businesses. And then I sold that, took some time off, traded stocks, various things. And then in late 94, early 95, I got together with a friend. It was like, how can we use this new thing called the internet to be able to listen to Indiana basketball while we were in Dallas? And it was like, okay, well, I have a background in databases and networking and programming. Let me see what we can figure out. And literally, there was nobody streaming at the time. And that's how I, was like, okay, how do we solve this problem? Well, let's find a solution. And we started a company called AudioNet, which was one of the first, if not the first, streaming companies to really get the thing going. And, obviously, we sold that years later, or 5 years, 5 years later to Yahoo. But, then, I started the first all high definition TV network. And, so my history has always been, okay, here's new technology. How can I apply it to industries and businesses to try to change the game and disrupt them? And so I take the same perspective here, looking at what's happening with layer ones, whether it's blockchain, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, any of the other blockchain competitors, how can you use them to disrupt traditional business? And I look at what's happening with NFTs, as I said earlier, just as a proof of concept. It's like, okay, if we can do this with art and music, pictures, and some video, then where else can we apply them to really change industry?